The Morning Watch with host Stokeley Marshall.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Apologies if there are any challenges with the audio. We will try to have that rectified shortly. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, post Melissa, clearing the debris. Where does it all go? And does it matter? And in second watch, exploring Jamaica's economic outlook post Melissa. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on Jamaica's economic outlook today? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp at 876-9973125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, here's our quote.
You never fail until you stop trying. Albert Einstein.
You never fail until you stop trying. Indeed. Albert Einstein. And this sounds like the sort of brilliant, I quote, that would come from Darren Mitchell. Good morning, Darren.
Good morning, sir.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch because topics are discussed and issues are highlighted that are of major importance, which in turn edify me.
The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I like listening to the Morning Watch. I find it very informative. I find it very interesting. The topics that are covered are very, very wide.
The Morning Watch, thought-provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with attorney at law Stokeley Marshall and the in-depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The Morning Watch is on the family station Love 101.
Tuesday, December 2 on The Rock, join guests Pastor Dane Wilson and Bishop Valentine Rodney for a raw and honest conversation on Psalm 6, one of the most vulnerable prayers in Scripture. David cries out from the edge of emotional collapse, overwhelmed, exhausted, grieving, guilty, and unsure if God is even listening. But what does this psalm teach us about repentance, spiritual burnout, depression, unanswered prayer, and the mercy God offers in our weakest moments? Have you ever felt spiritually drained, distant from God, or weighed down by life? Is it okay for believers to struggle publicly? And does God truly hear every desperate prayer? So many questions. We're breaking it all down. The emotional, theological, and spiritual power behind David's cry, and the hope that rises with every new morning. Plus, stay tuned for our special segment, A Piece of My Mind. All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, December 2 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
The Morning Watch is brought to you today by Bashco Trading Limited, the store that gives you more.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. For everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, mezzanine and everything for your kitchen, rocks, hubs and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the first watch, and this story is of major concern. Now, after a major disaster like Hurricane Melissa, the volume of debris is clearly enormous, ranging from, we're talking about fallen trees, roofing, housing, appliances, damaged vehicles, mud, silt, hazardous waste even. And weeks later, a lot of this waste is still present. And according to the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, the hurricane left roughly 4.8 million tons of debris across Western Jamaica. We're talking about 2.1 million tons of structural building waste, 1.3 million tons of vegetation alone, 1.4 million tons of personal property waste, translating to an estimated 480,000 standard truckloads of debris to be removed. This is 4 times the yearly amount that would be handled by the National Solid Waste Management Authority under normal conditions. The concern is the capacity to manage this on a disaster scale, on a disaster level. How are we going to remove all of this waste? That's the question. We have as our guests this morning to have a conversation around this, a very important conversation. Mr. Carvel Stewart, yes, from football fame, but he is here this morning in his capacity as the former president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica. We also have Trevor Bernard, owner and chief executive officer of Premier Waste Management and Jamaica Waste Industries. Mr. Bernard, Mr. Stewart, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
That sounds like Mr. Bernard. Mr. Stewart, you're on as well? Well, let us see if we'll have both of them on in a moment. But Mr. Bernard, starting with you, sir.
Yes.
Do we have the capacity to manage this level of waste, to remove all this waste? Do we have the capacity as a country?
Well, I can tell you that
Just tell us yes. Let us feel good.
Yes.
All right.
No, well,
you said yes.
A yes alone won't answer the question.
Boy, you just put a pin in that balloon, so the balloon is now bursting, sir. Has burst.
Yes.
Help us, sir. Help us, Mr. Bernard.
All right. So with proper planning, we can handle it. Our dumps, though, for example, I would just say Montego Bay dump and the Kingston dump. No, they can't handle the amount of waste that is being produced right now. You on a regular basis, we have long lines at the dump in Montego Bay, especially when rain falls, and it happens the same in Kingston. So in terms of our dump sites, no, they can't manage this amount of waste. But we can stage the waste, some of the waste, at a different location, and then handle it over time.
Over time meaning over months, weeks, years?
Well,
Over time means what?
You see, some of this waste need to be recycled because you have probably metal waste and so forth. You have different mud, for example, which would probably be easier to make some of that water dry out of the mud and the dirt. We can use it, some of it to the reclaim land. Different things can happen if we look at it from recycling purposes and so forth.
So no specific timeline, it seems.
No, I couldn't give a timeline, but Jamaica can handle it.
All right.
Yes.
Carvel Stewart, I gather that you're now on, sir. Mr. Stewart? I think you're hearing us, Mr. Stewart. Let's try Mr. Stewart. We're trying to hear you, sir. I don't know if you're muted or I think you're on the phone though. Aren't you on the phone, sir? Not hearing Mr. Stewart. We're trying to see if we can resolve any issues with that connection. Until we have Mr. Stewart on, Trevor Bernard, what would happen if we cannot remove all of this waste?
Well, I don't believe that we can't do it.
So you're staying on the positive side. You're saying we can remove it. So you're hoping we don't have to deal with the issue of whether we can't. But let us, for argument's sake, say something unforeseen happens and it makes it very difficult to remove it. What is the quote unquote worst case scenario?
It's hard for me to think like that. Because I'm on the ground and I see so much things happening, Or
maybe you're Mr. Positive, so you just...
Well, I'll make reference to Kingston.
Yes.
Kingston got not a bad situation, but when you went out on the road, you saw, right after, you saw a lot of debris, everything was all over the place in Kingston.
Yes.
But I think the National Solid Waste had a good plan because I would say maybe 24 hours after, Kingston didn't look like it had a disaster.
Yes, I think you're correct, sir. Yes.
I think planning is what made the difference with Kingston.
Yes. Mr. Stewart, I think we're hearing, Mr. Stewart, Carvel Stewart.
Good morning again.
Good morning, Mr. Stewart. We apologize.
Good morning, Mr. Bernard.
Mr. Stewart, sorry if there were any challenges on our end that made you not, Yes. We're happy to hear you, sir. Quickly before we head to the break, Mr. Stewart, you might have heard some of the conversation at least. Does Jamaica have the capacity to manage removing all of this waste? Can it be done? What is the worst case scenario if we can't do it? And you might want to touch on the interest of someone like yourself as a former president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association in a topic such as this, or that same entity. Go ahead, Mr. Stewart.
Well, first of all, I was pleased to hear of Mr. Bernard's optimism on the issue. I am not as optimistic that
my mind told me that you were going to go there.
I'm not as optimistic that we can do this in the short term, even with the best planning.
Well, he never said in the short term anyway. But why are you kind of a little bit somewhat cynical, sir? Why?
No. I am. First of all, the estimate of the volume.
Yes.
Is said to be more than 4 times what we handle
on an annual basis. Yes.
Now add what we handle each year to that volume to start with, and recall that garbage is not managed as efficiently as it ought to be, because I think maybe Melissa did us a favor, as Mr. Bernard pointed out, in Kingston and St. Andrew, because piles of garbage existed.
Mr. Stewart, only because of time. Mr. Stewart, I'm sorry, Mr. Stewart, I know you're on the phone and there's a bit of a lag, but hold that thought for a minute, because I see where we are now upon the break. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to you right after the break, and Mr. Bernard as well. Listeners, please stay with us, and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back after the morning, after this break.
Fresh and 24/7, you see. New down Intel, a softener with a scent for cozy eyes. New down Intel, fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New down Intel, find it in your favorite store.
As a contractor, I never work without a plan.
As an electrician, protection is always a priority.
If you're a small business owner or an independent contractor, there's a plan that gives you protection and coverage. Sagicor Pro Shield. Get up to $1 million critical illness coverage and cover up to 80% of your medical costs for as little as $15,510 every 3 months. Get the protection you need with Sagicor Pro Shield. Call 876-936-7784. Conditions apply.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, get linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and just a bit of a promotional note here. This is to remind that this is being brought to you today by Bashco, the store that gives you more. And to continue our discussion this morning, we have Carvel Stewart, former president, the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, and Trevor Bernard, owner and CEO of Premier Waste Management and Jamaica Waste Industries. And our topic here in this first watch, a very, very relevant and highly important topic. Post Melissa, clearing the debris, where does it all go, and does it matter? Mr. Stewart, just before the break, you were making a comment. We had heard from Mr. Trevor Bernard already, but Mr. Stewart, you were making a couple of comments. You weren't as positive in your view or assessment as to whether we can clear all this debris. Certainly not in the short term. Mr. Stewart, please continue.
Yeah, just to recap on numbers, there is more than 4 times our annual volume. We will also have our annual volume. So we could be up to 6 times our annual volume to manage.
Yes.
Now,
I'm sorry, I know I'm cutting in, but you had made an interesting comment just before the break that maybe Melissa did Kingston and St. Andrew a favor, paraphrasing. Any reason why you had said that?
No, because before the hurricane, we had piles of garbage uncollected in a number of areas, which were of concern, and they were not being collected on a timely basis.
So what did Melissa do?
Well, Melissa spreaded it all over the place and caused, as Mr. Bernard described, a really decent job of collecting what was collectible.
Okay.
But to get back to the major issue, one, I don't think we have the equipment in the short term, but more importantly,
the equipment.
The UN has described the debris in 3 different categories, as if they were discreetly located separately.
They're not.
They're not. They're all mixed up.
Yes.
So the first effort has to be the sorting and the collection of the garbage.
Yes.
So just imagine moving the house debris from silt and mud and so on. All of that has to be, as Mr. Bernard pointed out, very well planned. It's going to take some time to achieve some of that. I also agree with the recycling. That will also require time. for identification, sorting, collection, and location to the points where recycling can be had.
I see.
But just the sheer volume says to me we have a major task that unless people with prior experience, people with additional equipment, personnel, can advise and help, we're going to be at the clearing up for a very long time.
Just a quick note.
It is going to hinder other activities in a major way.
Just a quick one here, though, Mr. Stewart, before we bring back in Mr. Bernard. The Incorporated Master Builders Association, any particular interest that an association like this would have in a matter of this nature, clearing debris, just so that listeners can understand your own interest in the matter?
My own interest?
Yes, or that of your association.
There may be members who are equipped to participate and assist.
I see.
Because remember, some of the management of the debris will require huge
equipment,
especially loading equipment, equipment that can push like bulldozers and so on.
Yes.
Because Mr. Bernard also made a valuable, interesting point that we do use a lot of debris from demolitions and excavations for landfill elsewhere to increase land levels and so on.
Yes.
So if there are any major areas like that available now, that would be useful and helpful in achieving some of the removal of debris.
And that might lead to some other issues, because persons in your association, individuals, companies, they would have their regular, ordinary sort of construction to be engaged with, or civil engineering projects. It's going to take some time from that, arguably. And I don't think they can be offering up this equipment free of charge. So there's going to be a cost in terms of, to the state. And then what exactly do we even mean by debris? Because as you said, that there are different categories as identified by the United Nations. And then you might have other components. I mean, there's a matter of security. You're talking about moving things, perhaps even through the night, even in the daytime. So I don't know if you have any general comments to make there, Mr. Stewart, before we go back to Mr. Bernard.
Well, what all you have said there is correct and accurate. The need for the deployment of security personnel would be necessary.
Yes.
And it would be very helpful for them to be active and participate, because there are, as Mr. Bernard would have experienced, there are individuals who like to see through debris, garbage, etc., see what they can recover, and they might be a hazard to both themselves and to the personnel who are trying to effect the clearance.
Yes, understood. Mr. Bernard, in terms of debris, the different categories of debris, so when we speak of debris, it's an all-encompassing word?
Yes.
We're talking about construction type-looking debris, the remnants of buildings and the mud and the silt and the...
And regular garbage.
Yes.
Okay. Hazardous waste, different kind of waste is involved. That's why it requires planning and some recycling. We need to stage this waste, find some piece of land or somewhere to stage it. When it dries and the mud dries and the silt, then we can start doing some recycling. That's how we have to look at it. Because this kind of waste cannot go to the dump. We can't handle it in that kind of volume right now.
Cannot go to the dump. We cannot handle it in that kind of volume right now. So glad you brought that up, Mr. Bernard, and I would like to get Mr. Stewart's comments as well. But starting with you, Mr. Bernard, in terms of a plan, a national plan, or some sort of framework that could be used to handle this level of debris? And I'm not saying other parishes weren't affected, but we know that most of the challenges are in Western Jamaica. What would you say or recommend as a plan to sort of, as it were, ensure that this debris is removed and properly gotten rid of in a way that is environmentally safe, and at the end of the day we can feel assured that we have done our best? Your thoughts, Mr. Bernard?
So when you look at the West, most of that garbage actually goes to the dump in Montego Bay. I mean, from a regular basis, meaning
yes,
our household or the hotel or so for garbage. And you can just imagine the distance and the traveling and the road network, how it is.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, in a quick way, they have to take that garbage and stage it somewhere. Find some location down that side, or maybe more than one location.
When you say stage it, can you drill down for us? Stage it means?
Stage it means like put the garbage there, put the waste there.
Temporarily or permanently?
Temporarily, yes.
Ah, temporarily. That's what I want
You
to
need
understand.
to have a temporary site that you can put the waste, so you can get, the communities and the business places and all of that, to start opening up.
Okay.
And after, like even in Montego Bay, I see like when they clean up,
yes,
there is this piece of land there that I see they put in some waste on it here now, around the Mega Mart side, for example.
Yes.
So they are staging that waste there now, just to get the city cleaned up in a quick fashion.
Yes.
Because the dump at Montego Bay, you have long lines at the dump, right? So, you take hours to dump a truck. So that's what they have to do. Because you have to remember that the private sector is doing a lot of cleaning up on its own.
Yes, understandably, yes.
Right.
And how can communities become more engaged in the process? You kind of touched on it, but can you develop that a little bit before we bring back in Mr. Stewart?
You see, communities, I saw in Kingston, for example.
Yes.
I saw people, taking out rubbish and taking things and kind of doing some cleaning up and so forth.
Yes.
I think that in a lot of the communities, one of the first things that should have happened, but it didn't happen in a big way down that side for whatever reasons, the people need to, be cutting up trees and involve more. We need more community involvement. Much like a Labor Day kind of thing,
like a Labor Day kind of thing. Understood. Yes.
Scenario, so that we can quickly turn around this thing. It needs all hands on deck.
Understood.
It's not just the government alone. The government alone, we need everybody.
I don't think it's ever the government alone, but we understand your point, sir. Thank you very much. Let's try to bring back in Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart, if you can even give us some closing thoughts because of time. We're almost out of time already, never enough time on the morning watch. How can communities help? And in terms of the same points that Mr. Bernard mentioned or spoke about, how to environmentally, in an environmentally safe manner and in a proper manner, generally speaking, deal with and address this problem that we're having with the waste?
I think, first of all, we really need to start with the government.
Okay.
And how the government is going to manage
at a policy level.
The policy and how the execution
and implementation on understand.
Right.
Yes.
This is not a matter that can go through the normal, regular procurement activities and channels. If that is the case, we are going to be here for
we'll be stuck for a while
more.
Because procurement processes can take time. Yes.
We need them to engage people like Mr. Bernard, who is involved, experienced, knowledgeable of the process. More of those persons from the private sector than bureaucrats and civil servants. People who are hands-on in this matter, who can plan and execute
And maybe
I
they
think
can
that is
fast
a
track some of
major
the
thing.
procurement as well. They could they fast track some of the procurement, Mr.
We
Mr.
need
Stewart,
to
make sure
to
you don't
do
lose track of the checks and balances.
that to me is a minor risk. The greater risk is already being experienced. People are dying from leptospirosis, right?
Totally. Well, I understand your point. I understand your point.
Right, that's just one.
Yes.
Let us get going. Yes, the communities can come in some small way, really, because it depends on how resourceful or resource-based each community is.
Mr. Stewart, I'm getting a wrap-up signal.
Okay, the national planning and implementation body needs to be organized, and it should be heavily private sector
driven.
Right.
Heavily private sector driven. Just repeat the name of that plan. The national. The national.
No, well, it would be it has to be a cleanup, national cleanup plan.
Oh,
but I'm sure we can come up with.
Maybe you are coining a term for us. Well, let us see. Let us see where it goes. More anon. Mr. Stewart, Carvel Stewart, and Mr. Bernard, I want to thank the both of you for being guests with us on the Morning Watch this morning. Trevor, Bernard, I want to thank the both of you for being guests with us this morning on the Morning Watch. Very, very, very important topic. We are slightly out of overtime, but I want to thank you for your comments. This is a very necessary topic. Thank you, gentlemen. Listeners, please stay with us. We will be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is...
It is 7:32.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel par, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, get linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
So, welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We apologize for that issue with the audio a moment ago. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Daily Observer, Falmouth residents urged to collect free desalinated water. Interesting. We have something else here on the front page, and this one is of great concern. Another heartbreak. Edwin Allen High mourns death of 3rd student in 2 months. That's just too much. That story by Dana Malcolm. We have here also in the Daily Observer another story here. This one at page 3. 7 Rivers residents grateful for filtered water. Red Cross Violea partner on project, and this one of interest to other persons as well. This one written by Jason Cross. Donna Lee left apartment after Maitland declared loyalty to child's mother. Court hears. Of course, that's a court matter, so we wait to see what happens going forward. In that, we will not comment too much on that. We now turn to the Gleaner online. We have here among the latest news, Wholeness, referring to the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. Wholeness welcomes multilateral support package of up to US $6.7 billion to boost Jamaica's recovery and reconstruction. We also have here a story of great concern from a security standpoint and from the point of view of people's lives. Sections of Park Lane and 100 Lane in St. Andrew under curfew. Very concerning, very concerning. Among all lead stories in the Gleaner, $120 million impasse. A legal squabble is brewing over the $120 million the Supreme Court ordered the government to pay George Williams, the mentally disabled man who languished in prison for nearly 50 years. And that story continues. That is, of course, a very concerning matter. And another one here, PrEP under threat as Hague Primary waits for infirmary relocation. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on Jamaica's economic outlook today? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp your comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Tuesday, December 2 on The Rock, join guests Pastor Dane Wilson and Bishop Valentine Rodney for a raw and honest conversation on Psalm 6, one of the most vulnerable prayers in Scripture. David cries out from the edge of emotional collapse, overwhelmed, exhausted, grieving, guilty, and unsure if God is even listening. But what does this psalm teach us about repentance, spiritual burnout, depression, unanswered prayer, and the mercy God offers in our weakest moments? Have you ever felt spiritually drained, distant from God, or weighed down by life? Is it okay for believers to struggle publicly? And does God truly hear every desperate prayer? So many questions. We're breaking it all down, the emotional, theological, and spiritual power behind David's cry, and the hope that rises with every new morning. Plus, stay tuned for our special segment, A Piece of My Mind. All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, December 2 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for your responses to our social media question, which is, what are your thoughts on Jamaica's economic outlook today?
All right. Cherry from Spanish Town says, I honestly think that as a nation with resilience we possess and with the help and guidance of God, the economy can manage in a stable way going forward.
With God, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. Well, we thank you for that comment. We move straight into the second watch. Now, of course, post Melissa. Well, it wasn't just an event that affected Western Jamaica and other parts of the country as well, of course, the entire island, but we know where most of the damage occurred. But in many respects, Melissa has been an economic type of earthquake. And the Planning Institute of Jamaica is warning the country to prepare for a recession. Now, with agriculture devastated, tourism disrupted, a lot of infrastructure damaged, shattered, and supply chains affected, the Planning Institute of Jamaica is forecasting up to a a 13% contraction in the economy. That's a pretty big number. 13% contraction in the economy for the final quarter of this year, and a slow recovery that may take 3 to 5 years. Now, is this too ominous? Is the PIOJ, being overly cautious? Well, we have as our guest today to have a conversation around this, Mr. Kevin Fritt. He is the Secretary and the Director of Membership of the Small Business Association of Jamaica. Small Business Association of Jamaica, yes. We also have Joseph Cox. Mr. Cox is an economist and strategic consultant, host Caribbean Business Review. Joseph Cox, Mr. Cox, and Mr. Fritt. Good morning.
Morning.
Gentlemen. I think you're both there, but for some reason we're not hearing.
Yes, morning.
You're hearing me?
Oh, yes, we're hearing the both of you now. Excellent. We're hearing the both of you now. Excellent. That's good. Excellent. So, jumping right into it, because there are so many sides we can discuss in relation to Hurricane Melissa. Now, starting with you, Mr. Cox, should we be scared at what appears to be lying ahead economically for Jamaica? Is the PIOJ just doing its normal bureaucratic job of telling us what the numbers look like, and they're just telling us what the numbers look like, and in an unemotional way, and we must just, how do we treat with this? Because 13% in an economy like ours, which, I mean, I'm not saying the economy, is I mean, when you're dealing with an economy like ours, where everything really matters, 1% is a lot, or can be a lot, depending on the context. 13%, how does that sound to you? Sounds like a lot, sir? Contraction.
Well, put it this way. Let me preface it by saying this: the sky is not falling, right?
The sky is not falling. You're saying it's not falling. Okay.
I mean, I'm being on public record and saying this. I completely disagree with the Planning Institute's projection.
You completely disagree?
Yes, I do. 11 to 13% contraction, I believe, is an overstatement of
overstatement.
Yeah. Okay. And I will tell you why. First of all, when you look at what they
let me declare interest, Mr. Cox. Dr. Wayne Henry is my good friend, but continue.
And Wayne is mine too. I mean, no words about that.
He's the head of the PIOJ. Continue.
Yes, the reality of it is, one, the airports, because you have to look at all the conduits. The airports, Kingston for Norman Manley, and one in Oracle Bessop, Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
They were open with Norman Manley was open on the 29th for relief flights. Remember, the hurricane was 28th. On the 29th for relief flights, on the 30th for commercial flights, as was Ian Fleming. Sangsters was open for relief on November 1, and we are open now, completely open for commercial flights. That's one aspect of it. Second aspect of it that we need to also take into consideration is that there is a considerable upsurge in distributive trade activities. All these people going to the stores, etc., buying stuff, sharing with relatives, friends, etc., that is a normal boost that it would create. That's two. Third thing you have to look at is that Kingston and St. Andrew. I mean, Kingston is not Jamaica. Everybody knows that.
It's not Jamaica.
And it does not diminish in any way what obtains in the western part of the country. But your Kingston is the most densely populated part of your country. It's also a major part of your economic engine. Your ports have been open. Your manufacturing sector has been continuing pretty much unaffected in Kingston, right? But the fact of life, it is feeding into the rest of the economy. And the last and perhaps even more important aspect of it is that, my brother, we're going into the Christmas holidays, which normally is the highest commercial spending period and commercial activity period that you have in your country. So
Joseph Cox, hold up for a minute. I know that we haven't heard from Kevin Fritz yet. Mr. Fritz, we haven't forgotten you. We're going to be hearing you on the other side of the break. But listeners and viewers, stay with us, please. We will be right back on the Morning Watch.
The time that Grace could move is
7:45.
Every deposit you make with iSave is more than just saving money. It's a key to winning a brand new home. That's right. Every $25,000 you deposit into your iSave account is another chance to win big. Win quarterly cash prizes of $150,000 or the grand prize, a brand new home of your own. Keep saving every month and your entries keep growing just like your balance. And all entries stay in for the grand draw. Open your VM iSave account today. VM iSave is the key to your winning future. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Done, triple grease cleaning power. Each foam lasts longer. Done, triple grease cleaning power. You scrub less often. Done, triple grease cleaning power.
Find it at a great price in your favorite store or supermarket. Formula with 3 grease cleaning agents versus another dishwashing soap of similar price.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. The everything what you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, then linen everything for your kitchen, rug smokes and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is exploring Jamaica's economic outlook post Melissa. Our guests are Kevin Fritt and Joseph Cox. Kevin Fritt, Secretary and Director of Membership, Small Business Association of Jamaica. Joseph Cox, economist and strategic consultant, host Caribbean Business Review. Just before the break, Mr. Cox, you're making a couple of important and valuable points. I would like to complete your thought before we hear from Mr. Fritt.
Sure. Well, the last thing I will add on.
Well, just before the break, just a bit of a context. You are mentioning that we're heading into Christmas now. There's normally an economic uptick, and you were taking issue with some of the numbers coming out of the PIOJ in terms of the contraction expected for the final quarter of the year 2025. Yes. Go ahead, continue, sir.
Yes. The last 2 points I want to make is that as per the pronouncements of the Minister of Tourism and his advisors, 60% of the hotels are open now. They're expecting 75% to be open by the start of the winter tourist season. All right. And of course, when you look at agriculture, yes, agriculture suffered a significant blow. But please remember that a number of these crops are 6-week crops, and the farmers don't have the luxury of waiting for, somebody to come and help, etc., etc., etc. So the replanting process in some of the areas have already commenced. So things are there. Don't get me wrong. The economy is in a strait. But I do not agree that it's 11 to 13. If you tell me 5.5 to 8.
Okay, I want to see what number you are.
I would take that.
You would more think 5.5 to 8. Do you have a basis to sort of, apart from what you have said before, in terms of the metric that you came up with? I don't know if you want to say something about how you would have come up with that specific sort of metric.
When you start to look, for example, at the experience that would obtain normally across the regional context, you normally get it's characteristic that get a 10% jump in terms of your distributive trade. In post-disaster things, the site in Ivan is in, you see it all the while.
You're saying, speaking, if I could intervene a little bit just to make sure the listeners are following and the viewers are following, you're saying normally after disaster, there is normally some kind of uptick because you're trying to rebuild?
Exactly. Because remember that people don't have the luxury of time to sit down. So, for example, some of the houses the rebuilding has started already. These things feed into the economy. The hotels are not sitting down on the laurels waiting. They have already started their construction or reconstruction activity where appropriate.
Okay. Understood you. Got you. Thank you for that, Joseph Cox. We're gonna now bring in Kevin Frith. Kevin Frith, Secretary and Director of Membership, Small Business Association of Jamaica. Please forgive the mispronunciation earlier. We have made a slight correction, sir. Kevin Frith, your surname. Now, Mr. Frith, I want to ask if you can take us more down to the sort of granular micro level. You're dealing with the Small Business Association of Jamaica, small business persons, which are typically the backbone of the economy. How are they faring in terms of all of what has happened with Melissa and post Melissa? And should we be worried as a country, from your angle, that is, should we be worried as a country as to what has been, in terms of what has been projected for Jamaica by the PIOJ? Mr. Frith.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yes.
Now, we at Small Business Association, we're always of a positive outlook. And we believe that this, even though there is devastation, but this may also be the opportunity for Jamaica to pivot and land among the world leaders. Like, I've heard the story that some time ago we had the opportunity to become a Singapore of the Caribbean. And with all this attention that Jamaica is getting now, and the aid that is pouring in, and the love that the world is showing toward Jamaica, I'm confident that even though the PIOJ in theory is projecting a recession, I don't think all theories actually trickle down into the economy. And Jamaica is Jamaican entrepreneurs especially. We're of a fighting spirit, we're resilient people, and we're always looking out for opportunities. So while we may have experienced this horrible Category 5 hurricane, and we have lost a few lives, unfortunately, but we don't believe that it will be that bad in the economy just because of the spirit of the Jamaican people. If it was probably somewhere else, then you could think that, well, people going to be disturbed by the event and get a broken spirit, but we're fighting people, and our entrepreneurs, they're always innovative. We're always taking our handmade fashion. So I'm sure the business community is going to be digging deep into the devastation and look out for opportunities to see our rise again.
You know, you made a comment in relation to the deaths, but, you know, one death is too many. And remember that some people are still missing. But anyway, that point aside, sir, what about some of the business operators who have themselves been decimated by the hurricane? They have lost their storefronts, they have lost equipment, they have lost, some of the staff have been badly affected. The entrepreneurs, or the small business operators, they have been affected badly. And some of them might even be considering not reopening. They would have lost capital in some cases. I don't know if you have any thoughts to share on that. We know that your association, not every business person in Jamaica is a member of your association, or might even attach themselves to your, or associate with your association. But just looking out there, sir, I don't know if you have any general thoughts to share concerning any of that.
We have been visiting. We have visited St. James 2 weeks ago, and last Saturday we have visited St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
And we have met with some of our members and just other persons in the small business community.
All right.
And so far, no one has expressed any interest of not restarting.
Mm-hmm.
They're more trying to figure out what small help we can offer them to restart. We have actually launched an initiative called Tools for Recovery.
Okay.
Where we're giving skilled workers in the different section of the community small tools that can help with the rebuilding process. so that things can get going again quickly. And we have been collecting data as well that we have shared with the Ministry of Industry, as the minister in a meeting had request that we provide data on damages across our membership and in the business community in general. So we have been sharing those data, but so far, all our members, all the business operators we have met with, even though they have suffered significant loss, no one has expressed any interest of giving up, actually.
Have you traveled yet to Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth? I think you mentioned St. James. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, so we went to St. James already. We went to St. Elizabeth, and our trip to Westmoreland, Hanover, is on the 13th of this month.
Oh, you have not been to Westmoreland and Hanover yet?
Well, we went to Westmoreland on Saturday, but by the time we got there, it was late. It was raining, so we decided to put on a trip specifically for that side where we have enough time to meet with a good amount of persons. And also, we are replenishing our supplies. So we just got some more tools donated to us, and we're putting ourselves together for the 13th of this month.
Yes, I was going to ask you about the tools and how it's funded. So the tools that you're giving out are donated. They are not things you're purchasing from the coffers of your association?
No, so they are donated. So some of the items are donated by our directors. I myself have donated some.
Okay.
Others are persons who saw the initiative and reached out and donated some.
So you're donating to persons such as carpenters and people like that, and these are people who themselves are in business, or these are just regular folk who want to just start rebuilding their homes? What is the criteria you use to distribute these tools?
No, so what we do is that, you consider a carpenter in a community as an entrepreneur because he offers a service.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Right.
So
No. So that's what we do. We identify, we go in the community, we'll find out who is the furniture man, who is the carpenter.
Okay.
And we align ourselves like that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And what about the forecasts in terms of the average person out there in the economy? The average worker, the average family, and I know you touched on a couple of things earlier, Mr. Cox, such as tourism, but the average person out there, Mr. Cox, what can they be looking forward to, in this current season when we're trying to figure out what is the forecast? Or, well, we have heard the numbers from the PIOJ, but we're trying to figure out how on an individual level persons can fare. Mr. Cox, and then followed by Mr. Cox, starting with you.
Well, all right. In a nutshell, it's going to be challenging for some people. Some people will be temporarily displaced in terms of jobs. Inflation is going to be going up. There's no saying that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. But the fact of life is that there are also opportunities that are obtaining, because as Mr. Frith is alluding to, we're an entrepreneurial people. One of the things I learned in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane is that one of the biggest businesses that, I call it informal, if you will, was the reselling of things. So, for example, people were reselling gasoline, they were selling all sorts of supplies from here to there. So the fact of life is that
selling access to data, selling access to use of a phone.
Exactly, it's dynamic. It's not a static thing, so it will change. But yes, in the interim,
hoping it's all being done ethically and morally, though. But continue, Mr.
There are going to be challenges. There's no question about it. So we have to also take that into consideration. And some persons, I put forward a view that, for example, in the West, you have two economies that are basically emerging. One, what I call the competitive side, which is like hotels and so on, the people who are getting back the electricity quickly and rebuilding. And on the other side, reconstruction network. So they are the ones now, the more hard hit places with severe infrastructure damage, etc., where their recovery will take some time. So that's how you have to look at it.
Gentlemen, we might have to leave it there. I think we're completely out of time. Mr. Frith, I wanted a further comment or a final comment from you, but based on how you sounded earlier, it sounds as if you might even be concurring with what Mr. Cox just said a moment ago, but we're completely out of time. I want to thank Kevin Frith and Joseph Cox for being with us in this second watch. Very interesting conversation. Gentlemen, thank you to you both.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, all viewers and listeners, for being with us today. Join us again tomorrow for other topical and controversial issues for discussion. Visit our Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page, and now TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. Of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Darren.
The Morning Watch is brought to you by Bashco Trading Limited, the store that gives you more.